After WrestleMania goes Hollywood, the Backlash begins. When the hottest collab of the year hits, it's gonna feel good to be bad.
Bad Bunny returns to host Backlash.
Join the Grammy Award-winning megastar, along with WWE's biggest superstars, on this island of adventure. Live every sight, live every sound, live Boricua. WWE Backlash.
You are listening to this week's edition of the Dirty Sheets podcast. This is your Backlash betting preview. Now, there have been some changes to the plans for this week, so I'm going to run through them for you right now. First of all, this is a simulcast. This is simulcasting on the Dirty Sheets podcast and on the Lock Betting podcast as well. If you're listening on Lock Betting, you're going to get the full show. You don't need to do anything else. If you're listening on the Dirty Sheets, you are just going to get the first few minutes of this show, because I want people to go over to the Lock Betting podcast and subscribe to it and get used to that being the destination where you are going to get your WWE betting previews, your pay-per-view previews with the betting lines are all going to be done over at Lock Betting. So we will do this a few times. We will give you a sample of the show, but we are going to cut off at some point and you're going to have to listen to the rest of the show over on the Lock Betting podcast. This is not your only podcast this week. We still have a show coming with Brad Shepard as promised, but I spoke to Brad and we've decided that instead of previewing the show, because I want to do it from a betting perspective, we instead are going to review the show. We are going to talk about Backlash and other subjects, including the AEW ticket sales or disputed ticket sales for the week, and just generally the type of shit that me and Brad go back and forth with. So we are going to have that conversation still, but we are going to have it in around about 48 hours time. So you are going to get that show as promised. Therefore, this is somewhat of a bonus show here covering the WWE betting lines for Backlash. But let me remind you, this show is going to cut off soon and you will have to listen to the full show over at Lock Betting. If you are already listening on the Lock Betting podcast, then you don't have to do anything. Let me remind you, Lock Betting is completely free. It is a free podcast feed. So every week you can be getting the Bundesliga show. You can be getting boxing podcasts, UFC podcasts, and also a WWE pay-per-view preview every month. So make sure you subscribe to Lock Betting to make sure that you never miss a show. We are going to begin here by covering the main event, and then we are going to lose our listeners for the Dirty Sheets, and you will have to go over to Lock Bet, and you may as well do that now. But I'm going to cover the main event for you anyway. It features Cody Rhodes versus Brock Lesnar. There are some rumors that the Bad Bunny match could be moved over to the main event. I haven't had that confirmed. If it is confirmed, then Brock Lesnar's match will be the opening match instead. But I'm still hearing that Brock Lesnar and Cody are slated for the main event spot. Cody Rhodes is the 4-9 favourite, with Brock Lesnar as a 7-4 underdog. Now, what's interesting to me here is that Cody Rhodes began as the 1-3 minus 300 favourite. This was even covered in the dirt sheets, with Dave Meltzer saying that WWE may have given away the result by this betting line. Well, that's not how the betting line works, because it's not set by WWE. I understand that there was a story out recently that WWE would be working with betting companies moving forward, but I don't think that means that they are going to give them results or book results based around the money that's come in, because that would be insider trading and you'd be deliberately doing things to lose people money. Although that is the risk when you bet on fixed sports, which is what this is. This is fixed sports. I mean, if there were real fixed sports, if games of soccer or NFL were fixed, it would be a massive conspiracy and there would be bans and fines and even possibly jail sentences over it. But with WWE, they tell you that it is a fixed sport. So you run that risk by having it as a betting option, and you run the risk betting on it anyway. But ultimately, I don't think it's reached the point where WWE are going to be guided by the betting companies. And I don't think Cody being a minus 300 favourite to start with means anything, because I don't think it was set by the WWE. But what does mean something is the fact he's no longer a minus 300 favourite and he's moving closer to minus 200. And what that tells you is there is some money going on Brock Lesnar. And I don't think it's significant at this point, because a significant move would make these prices a lot closer. And Cody Rhodes is still a significant favourite. He's gone from you needing to bet $300 on him to $300 to win 100. So that's what minus 200 means. It means you need to bet 300 to win 100. You now, currently at this price, which is around about 1 to 2, you now need to bet 200 to win 100. So he's still a favourite. With Brock Lesnar, the returns are still good. Previously, he was at 5 to 2, which means for $100, you would have made a $250 profit, but $350 back in total. Now, if you bet on Brock Lesnar at its current price, you make a $175 profit, so $275 back rather than $350. So you have lost a bit of money, but for me, this isn't significant enough to say, wow, this is writers' money, this is insider money, this is money coming in from creative or other wrestlers or Brock Lesnar's family or Cody's family or any of the other ridiculous conspiracy theories that people may have. This is not significant enough line movement that you see when Royal Rumble winners leaks or Money in the Bank winners leak, but it is still something. And for me, when I look at the journey that Cody Rhodes could potentially be on, and if he is going to challenge Roman as opposed to winning that other championship, then it has to be a longer road and he has to face more adversity. And he does need to go to the back of the line. And that was something that he said himself. If I lose this match, I'm going to the back of the line. But if he wins this match, is he going to the front of the line? Is he the number one contender for Saudi Arabia? Is that where you're going to crown Cody Rhodes exactly on Roman's 1000th day? I don't think you're doing that, because Roman Reigns, once it was discussed that he was going to be retaining the championship, did not initially confirm a list of dates that he would be appearing on with Vince McMahon. That has only been done over the past week, and now we see Roman Reigns appearing on the Saudi show and at the Money in the Bank show in the UK. And we already know he was always going to be at SummerSlam. They could not secure him for this show. I think the assumption was that when he was keeping the belt, that they could just call Roman and say, hey, now we need you because you're keeping the championship. But Roman wasn't as easygoing as that. It looked like he would be when he agreed to come in for Monday Night Raw, the night after WrestleMania. Another show wasn't scheduled for, but it's been a little bit difficult getting Roman Reigns to play ball since then. So he is now doing a UK show. He is now doing the Saudi show. So he is going to be around a bit more now. He is returning this Friday night on SmackDown. But ultimately, I think it's a long time until you see that Cody Rhodes match. Therefore, I think the thing that would put more adversity in Cody's path is for him to lose here and to actually go to the back of the line and start a real journey of redemption, which isn't winning the Royal Rumble from number 30. So I'm not weighing too much. I'm not putting too much weight into what's happened with the betting line, but I am looking at what I personally think is more of a journey and things that Cody said. And therefore, I do think there is some significant value on Brock Lesnar here at a price of 7 to 4. Also, Triple H has been heavily criticised for the way he has booked Brock Lesnar. Brock Lesnar has barely won a match. He did not come off well in the Lashley feud, especially when he had to low blow him. He got a fluke win over Lashley in the one win that he did get. Other than that, he's been beaten time and time again by Roman Reigns when challenging for the belt. And at WrestleMania, he worked a match with Almas. And apparently the storyline for this is that he had to work a match with Almas in the opening match and took it out on Cody because he was in the main event. That's not a very good story. And so far, there hasn't actually been a storyline explanation from Brock Lesnar. Perhaps we'll get that after this match. I don't think you can have this match and never explain why you had the match. So perhaps there are more matches down the line. Perhaps it's part of the redemption arc for Cody. But in order to go down that deep, dark hole where you need to climb a big mountain to get out of it, I do believe that he may need to lose this match. So I'm going to pick the underdog to start off here. I am going to pick Brock Lesnar. And if you are listening on the Dirty Sheets feed, We are now going to lose you because all of the other picks are going to be made exclusively on the Lock Betting podcast. So it is time to say goodbye to you Dirty Sheets listeners. You can just go over and get that podcast for free. And I'm doing this so you get used to the fact that the betting previews, the pay-per-view previews will be over on that show. That's where all the other matches are going to be covered. That's where I'm going to be doing a betting preview for the Saudi show. That's where I'm going to do the betting preview for Money in the Bank. And you may even get bonus shows as well, looking at futures markets. So there may be bonus wrestling shows there. There's already UFC over there. There's already boxing. If you want to get all of my betting content, you know that is over at lockbetting.com. I am just 1 month away from being able to say I have 120 months in a row of transparent track profit. 120 months is a decade. So that'll be an entire decade without a single losing month in sports betting. This is all legit. You can do your own research. All of the spreadsheets are posted on the website, lockbetting.com. If you want to do quick due diligence, the pin tweet on the Twitter account at lockbetting.com is the P&L from the previous month. If you're not interested in betting all of these sports, like soccer, tennis, NBA, etc., then you can simply just bet on combat sports. There is a package for you over at thedirtysheets.com. It's the combat packet as boxing, WWE and UFC. Or if you just want your wrestling news before everybody else, just head over to thedirtysheets.com. We have broke some really big stories lately that are looking like they are correct and coming to fruition. And just go over there and check it out. It's $5 a month. It's $1.25 a week for accurate news that's actually correct, unlike paying the likes of Dave Meltzer $11 for stuff that's wrong, or Sean Ross Sapp just to get crappy things from TNA that you don't care about. So that's where you need to go if you want to listen to the rest of the show. Head over to the Lock Betting podcast right now.